Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited for this video because we have a very interesting topic to discuss, and that would be different red flags for indie brands and things that you should take note of, little situations that might cause concern, and just things to have in the back of your head when you're looking at a new indie brand and you're deciding whether to purchase from them or not. I have tried so many indie brands. I've probably tried more than 100 at this point, and I have had so many amazing experiences. Like, there are so many good indie brands out there, but there's also a few rotten apples in there as well, I'm not gonna lie. So I wanted to look through all of my bad experiences that I've had with indie brands, which there's been a few, just a smidging, and just look at their social media, look at their websites, look at their professional conduct or unprofessional conduct in some places. So I went ahead and made this list. I want this to be a guide for you. I don't want you to spend your money and regret it. If you are new to my channel and you love indie makeup or you're looking to get into it, this is definitely the place for you. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. But for now, let's go ahead and jump on into the list. So these are in no particular order, but the first thing I have written down as a red flag would be on Instagram if a indie brand's comment section is turned off or if they're missing comments. The way to see if an Instagram post is missing comments is if you go on there and it says, for example, there's 25 comments. You click the post and then there's only like 7, 10, anything less than what it says there should be. That's because comments are being hidden or deleted. This is a huge red flag in my opinion. There's no reason to hide general feedback or constructive criticism. There's no reason to hide someone having an issue with their order if you're taking care of it in an appropriate manner. So it immediately makes me think they're hiding customers or people who are having issues and they're not being addressed. In some way, customers are having their voices stifled. And I feel like it's a brand. It's not a person, it's a brand. So like if their feelings are hurt or if they can't take constructive criticism or something, I don't feel like that's a valid excuse for not accepting comments. I can understand a brand deleting comments every once in a while because I know people can be really, really nasty. If someone's being racist or homophobic or just being plain out nasty, then of course their comment should go. Like, I don't agree with spreading hatred, but if you see a brand doing this and it's a pattern, please take note of it. So the next thing I have on my list here is if an indie brand does not have a PayPal option. PayPal is like my favorite thing ever. And the reason why is because they're really great about protecting you. If something goes wrong with your order, if you don't receive an order, you can file a claim through PayPal and they will help you get your money back. They can help you get replacements or get answers, whatever it is that you need. So PayPal is really on the side of the consumer, in my opinion. So I love going through PayPal for pretty much everything I purchase. And I feel like when a brand does not offer PayPal, it's like risky, and I'm not about the risk. I'm not about the risk life. So if a brand does not offer PayPal, I'm so much less inclined to buy from them. And it's like a little red flag in my opinion. Another thing, just adding on to this, is some brands, when they're really small, will be like, DM us and buy through our DMs. It might sound easy, like, oh, just DM us and you can buy it through there and like we'll figure out the payment or whatever. And personally, again, I just think that's super risky. I wouldn't do it. Even if it's a small, cute little indie brand, you're like, I want to support a small business. Like, just go about it in a way that protects yourself because you don't know them. You don't know who they are. You don't know if they're actually going to deliver on their promises. The next red flag that I have is if you go on a brand's website and every single review for every single product is all 5 stars. I just feel like this is so unrealistic, and maybe if they only have like 4 reviews, it would be like, oh yeah, they're all 5 stars, that's fine. But if they have 50 reviews, 75 reviews, like anywhere up from there, and they're all 5 stars, I'm not saying it could never happen, but I just feel like that's a little bit sketchy because people are gonna have constructive criticism, especially with makeup. Nothing is like, this one product works for everybody no matter what. It's just unrealistic and it's a red flag for me. I feel like if you see that on their website, definitely search out real reviews not on their website, reviews that they cannot control, and see if people have anything negative to say. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's completely impossible, especially if they only have a certain amount of reviews, but I just think at a certain point, it's like, really? Only 5 stars? Like, especially because I feel like when people love a product, they're less likely to go review it. But when they hate a product, they're more likely to want to share their opinion. I just have noticed that with reviews. So I I find it a little shady, so I just wanted to throw it in here. Oh, this is a big one. This is a huge red flag, y'all. The situation that this is inspired by makes me so upset when I think about it, but if you're buying from an indie brand, please check that they have their ingredients listed. And some brands don't, some brands do. Sometimes you have to reach out for them. So, I mean, like I said, there's a little bit of gray area here. But if they have their ingredients listed and it's only a partial ingredient list, I find that to be super sketchy, and I think maybe it's just because I had such a bad experience. There was one particular indie brand that was selling products that weren't even eye safe, marketing them for the eyes. They were using ingredients that they just bought from Hobby Lobby and calling it a day, and then the eyeshadows were growing stuff. So please be really careful to check and make sure they have their full ingredients list. Unfortunately, there's some people out there who are like, I love makeup, I should make makeup, I should sell makeup, but they have no business doing so because they have no knowledge on actually making makeup and they haven't learned it yet, but they're already making products. So please be careful, check ingredients lists, and if it's so short it's unrealistic, then that's probably a red flag. Okay, another red flag would be if an indie brand just has a sudden name change out of nowhere. And there are brands who rebrand over time. I'm thinking like Strobe Cosmetics rebranded to Shroud Cosmetics. They made a big deal about it. They explained it. They did a video. They did all these things on their Instagram to let you know, like, hey, we're changing our name, here's why, and it's very upfront, so it's no cause for concern. But if you see an indie brand just randomly change their name and there's no like publication about it, they're not like, hey, we changed our name, here's why, you have to think about it more and say, why would an indie brand change their name and not want to keep the customers they already have unless they're trying to hide something again? So this is a big red flag. If a brand just changes their name out of nowhere, I just feel like they're probably doing something and they're probably trying to hide from it. I saw this issue recently with an indie brand that actually sells all lashes, and apparently nobody ever gets their order and they're constantly changing their brand name. So this one's a little bit harder because it can be kind of sneaky, but please be careful. And if you see it happen, if they're not public about it, if it's secretive, I feel like that's a red flag. Okay, another red flag I have, this one's a little bit softer, not quite as intense, but it's just something to keep in mind. And this would be if you're on an Instagram page for a brand, a website, wherever it may be, and you just constantly see typos and errors. I definitely think it just like sparks a little red flag to be like, this is a level of unprofessionalism, because you know, if you're taking the time for your brand, you care about your brand, you think you would put a little bit more effort into it, and it's just, I feel like it reflects poorly on the brand. I do want to say I have a little bit of grace for this, because if it's a brand that's located in like Mexico and there's their English version of their page and there's a typo, then it's like, okay, like that's not their first language probably, like it's fine, it's not a big deal. But if you're on someone's brand, it's pretty obvious from their Instagram, from where they live, that they speak English, they speak it well, and they just have constant typos and errors and like not capitalizing things and capitalizing something that shouldn't be capitalized, and it's just all this messy stuff. And I think it can be just a small red flag. Again, like I said, this was a softer one, but something to keep in mind. And just connecting it back to the point of this video, a lot of the brands that I've seen do bad things have had this issue of a lot of typos and errors and stuff like that. So that's kind of where my head was at with this one. All right, so the next red flag is some pretty classic advice, and I'm sure you've heard it at some point in your life. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I would say this really comes into play when you see an indie brand over-promising. What really made me think about this one is the situation with Saucebox. If you're not familiar, they did like this subscription service kind of thing where people paid an absorbent amount of money in the beginning of the year, and they were supposed to get all the new product launches early and get this and that and fulfill their value. And basically they never got what they were promised. They got little bits and pieces and they didn't get their full value, and the brand owner kept pushing it off and pushing it off, pushing it off, and it was just a hot mess. And when you look at the proposal of what it was supposed to be, it's like you get all the launches early, you get 7 times the amount of value, you get this, you get that, you get 10 launches. Like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but if you were looking at it and you're like, that sounds so amazing, so good, the value is just beyond, and it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is. I've seen it where brands promise certain things And if it's just above and beyond and you think they can't deliver, like, just be really careful about where you spend your money and how. The last bit of advice, you're just kind of blinded, only looking at their social media, what they have to say, their website, I would definitely recommend doing some searches, whether it be Reddit, YouTube, what else is there? You can find indie Facebook groups, like you can look like indie beauty. You can look and like type in the brand and see if people had experiences. You could even make a post yourself and say, hey, has anyone tried this brand? What were your thoughts on it? Find community around indie beauty lovers and ask questions, look for answers, and I think it'll help you so much in the long run from not getting taken advantage of or from not spending your money on a company that is not going to deliver on what they promised you. So I would say this is like the best thing to do if you find a red flag. Like, for example, if you're on an Instagram and you're like, why are all these comments being hidden? Search it and I'm pretty sure you're going to find answers. So that would be my ultimate piece of advice for the red flags, is don't just jump into something and be like, I'm going to buy it right away. And not look. That's me when I find a new indie brand. I want to buy it right away. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.